Alright, solving one and two step equations. When we're solving equations, our goal, our goal every time is to get our variable all by itself. So we want to get the variable all by itself. So it doesn't matter what equation we're talking about, if it's a one step or a two step, our goal is still the same. The goal is to get the variable all by itself. So in this first example, our variable is x. So when we look at the x and the 3 are together because the equals 11, so it equals at 11. So we want the x by itself, so we have to get rid of that 3. Well, what we can do is we can subtract 3 from both sides. Now the thing that allows us to subtract this 3 from both sides, if we think about our properties, that's our subtraction property of equality. So it's our subtraction property of equality. So since we can use that property, we cross off our 3, so we have x on this side, 11 minus 3 is equal to 8. So now we have our solution, so we know that x is equal to 8. And with algebra, we can always check to see if our solution is correct. So we can check this. So if we plug this 8 back in, so if I have x plus 3 equals 11, well, if I plug in 8 plus 3 is equal to 11, so that's my check step. So I know that my answer is correct. So if we look at the second one, once again, our goal, we want that variable all by itself. Well, a and 0.25 are connected, they're together. So we actually have to break these apart. So to break it apart, we want to divide. So we want to divide by that 0.25. And our reason we can do that, since I did it to both sides of my equation, so both sides, that's the division property. So that's our division property of equality. So that lets us divide both sides by the same number. So we're dividing both sides by 0.25. So 0.25 divided by 0.25 is just 1, so I'm left with a. And then 10 divided by 0.25, it's not a smaller number because you're dividing by a decimal. It's actually going to be 40. So it's larger than 10. So a is equal to 40. And once again, we can check this to make sure that our answer is correct. So our check step, we simply have our equation, which equals 10. We plug in 40, we substitute 40 in for a. Well, 0.25 times 40 is 10, which equals 10, so we know that our answer is correct. And now we get to two-step equations because there's more than one step. So when we look at these, our goal is still the same. We want to get that x all by itself. So I have two sides to my equation. I have the left side, the right side. So my x is right here. So x and 2 are connected. Well, I want to get rid of this 3. So I want to get rid of my plus 3, so I can simply just subtract 3. And I can subtract 3. Well, what allows me to do that? That's my subtraction property. Subtraction property of equality. So that allows me to subtract 3 from both sides. So I bring this term down, which is my 2x, and it equals, well, 10 minus 3 is 7. So now what I can do next is, once again, my 2 and the x are connected. I want to break them apart. Well, I have to divide by 2. And I divide by 2 since I did it on both sides. What allows me to do that is the division property. So that's our division property of equality. So that allows me to divide both sides by the same number, which is 2. Well, an x equals, well, 7 divided by 2 is simply 7 divided by 2, or we can say it's 3.5. They both mean the same thing. And once again, we can check that this answer is correct. So our check step, so we have 2x plus 3 equals 10. Well, we plug this back in. 2 times 7 over 2 plus 3 equals 10. Well, these 2's cancel out. So 7 plus 3 equals 10, and 10 is equal to 10. So it checks out to be correct. And then the last one over here, once again, same concept. We want to solve this for x. Well, here's my x. They're connected to the 2/3. Well, I can add 5 to get rid of that 5. So I have to add it to this side because that is my addition property of equality. So now we bring this one down. I have 2/3 x equals 8 plus 5 is 13. Now we can do one of two things. We can either flip this and get rid of the whole fraction, or we can just simply get rid of our denominator first. So to get rid of a denominator, we multiply by it, because that'll cross them out. Well, if I multiply here, have to multiply here, because that's our multiplication property of equality. That allows me to multiply both sides by the same thing. So I'm left with 2x is equal to 13 times 3 is 39. And then the last thing, to break this apart, we simply divide by 2, which is our division property of equality. And then we get x equals 39 divided by 2, or what's that? 19.5. So it can either be, we can leave it as a fraction or write it as a decimal, and we can once again check this. So to check it, we have 2/3 x minus 5 equals 8. So 2/3 times 39 divided by 2 minus 5 equals 8. Well, these 2's are going to cross off, because that's 2 divided by 2, which is 1. And this 39 and 3 is going to give me 13. 39 divided by 3 is 13. 13 minus 5 will give me 8. So that checks out correct. And that's just our 1 and 2 step equations, and using our justifications on why we are able to do each step.